Hello everyone, welcome to Narrator Stories Recaps. There are mainstream movies in every country. Today, I'm going to talk about a mainstream movie that just came out in Korea in 2017, Military Island. There are many stories behind this movie. I will tell you at the end of the video. Let's watch the movie first. At the beginning of this movie, there are a few young people who plan to escape from this military island, but soon they were caught by the Japanese army and killed. When the young man's corpse returned to the military island, the Japanese special music accompanied by storms sounded in the dark military island. Lee Kang-ok, the male lead, is a big brother of a band. After his wife passed away, he took his only daughter, so he lived and died in Korea under Japanese rule. With his cleverness and grace, he lived well. Not long after that, Japan began to recruit people in Korea. They used to be recruits, but this time they went to the factory to make money. Good or bad, Lee Kang-ok made a little mistake. He and his team were also on the list of recruits. He bribed a police officer. He promised him that he would go to a good place with a recommendation letter when he got there, so Lee Kang-ok had to take his daughter on the cruise with him. On the ship, he also met a gangster in Korea. This man fought with other Korean people on the ship. Unexpectedly, he was strangled by a prostitute, Mao Nyan. After getting off the ship, Lee Kang-ok found the person who assigned them and handed in the recommendation letter. It's a pity that the other party took the good thing, but he still took her with the ordinary people. When Lee Kang-ok saw the recommendation letter, he realized that he was fooled, especially when he took her to the military training island. All the women were taken away. He wanted to hold So-hee's hand, but he was beaten mercilessly. After getting off the ship, everyone was squatting in the square waiting for the judgment of fate. A Japanese officer found that he was the conductor of the band. He asked him if he could play the song Sakura. At the same time, when Lee Kang-ok sang the song, all the Japanese people in the square were waving the same gesture. They sang their military song proudly. This is a soul song of the Japanese Navy during World War II. The song echoed throughout the military training island. All the Korean people there were shocked by them. After that, the leader of the military training island came out to speak. Since then, their fate has signed a contract with the devil. The man was forced to be a matchmaker, and the woman was a prostitute. He lived in an iron cage that was worse than a pig's dog. It was hard for him to smoke. In Japan, American soldiers are paid, but under all kinds of harsh conditions. There are very few people who can enter their pockets. Moreover, how many people can live to the end? I have always said that the budget of a movie is 40% of the props. The film largely restored the living environment of the miners at that time, especially the scene of digging coal underground. The supervisor is also a Korean, but he treats his compatriots more ruthlessly than the Japanese. Choi Chil-sung made a big move for this, and he asked Lee Kang-ok and the Japanese to translate. He wants to fight with the Japanese officer. Whoever wins is the star of this movie. The Japanese agreed to watch the movie. In the end, Choi Chil-sung triumphed over the Chinese. At this time, a Korean leader appeared. They all call him Yoon Hak-chol. When this man stood up, the Japanese wanted to see us kill each other. Why do you have to do that? The next day, So-hee was also dressed up and sent to the Japanese. It was as if he had to accept the nightmare he had to face. But when he heard the music in the speaker, it was his own song. He cried and asked Mao Nyan to translate it for him. He told Yoon Hak-chol that he could sing and dance, and he could play the instrument. He could wash clothes, cook, and clean. In the end, he shouted in Japanese, "Long live the emperor." Yoon Hak-chol forgave him and didn't let him be a VF. Instead, he stayed by his side as a servant. The father and daughter met again on a rainy night. Lee Kang-ok tried hard to change his crying into a smile. At this time, another protagonist, Song Joong-ji, played by Park Moo-young, appeared. He was a member of the Korean resuscitation team. He was trained and sent to the island to save a person, which is Yoon Hak-chol. Because Yoon Hak-chol is a very powerful brain, it is said that he may participate in the presidential election after his resuscitation. But the year before last, after being caught by the Japanese, he was secretly settled here. Mao Nyan was saved by Choi Chil-sung after being beaten by a guest. The two of them had a deep conversation. Don't get me wrong, it's spiritual. Mao Nyan said he was a Korean. At first, he was sold to Japan by his own people as a VF. Later, when he arrived in China, he fled back to Korea unexpectedly. The Koreans caught him again and sold him here. To be honest, Japanese people should have this feeling. We hate traitors and are good at ghosts. During the anti-Japanese war, the Chinese US troops were more than the Japanese in China. Oh, think about it. It's really the tragedy of this nation. Lee Kang-ok, because of his daughter, plus the way he treats people, he is very civilized, so it's the best for him to live in this mine. So when the police officer was going to rescue Mr. Yin, they could only steal the key to the telegraph room through his help. Lee Kang-ok made a request to take him and his daughter with him on the day of the escape, otherwise everyone will be done playing together. Everything was ready, but the police officer had no intention of taking him with him. After Lee Kang-ok found out, he followed them secretly. Unexpectedly, he found a shocking black black mist. After the police officers sneaked into the secret room and sent a telegraph, he also discovered the secret of Yunhak-Shol. This man has become a Japanese spy after being caught. He surrendered. He was put here on the surface to fight for the interests of the Korean people and to be the leader of his compatriots. In fact, he told the Japanese about the route of every Korean who wanted to escape. Then every dead worker's compensation will be deposited in his account. When the police officer was going to kill Yunhak-Shol, he was rescued by Yunhak-Shol's loyal subordinates. Coincidentally, at this time, the US military bomber exploded. The whole island was in a sea of fire. Yunhak-Shol and his subordinates fled, but after that, he immediately killed his subordinates. This scene was also seen by Lee Kang-ok and his daughter. At this time, it was 1945. According to the US military leaflet, everyone on the island knows that Japan is not far from the outside, and the Japanese also know what kind of trial they will face at that time. In order to eliminate all evidence, Japanese officers who survived the bombing decided to eliminate all foreigners on the island except the Japanese under the guidance of Lee Kang-ok and several eyewitnesses. Everyone on the island also discovered the true identity of Yunhak-Shol. After eliminating Yunhak-Shol, they decided to escape together. The rest of the story is the final battle. In the end, Choi Chil-sung and his daughter died together. Although Lee Kang-ok finally boarded the ship, he died of serious injuries. The secretary and the police officer brought most of the people back to North Korea. The ending of this movie is fictional. At the beginning, I said that I would tell you the story behind the movie. The original name of Battleship Island was Hashima Island at that time. Not only Korean people but also nearly 4,000 Chinese people were forcibly evacuated. In the end, only a few people survived. In the movie, there is a scene where everyone can only wear hats in a small coal mine. It perfectly reproduces the real scene at that time. In 2006, the Japanese government applied to the UNESCO to list Battleship Island as a World Heritage Site. On July 6, 2015, the UNESCO World Heritage Committee passed a 9-year actual examination. After learning about the history of Hashima Island, the UNESCO listed Hashima Island as a World Heritage Site. We have to ask, where is this place full of oppression, exploitation, cruelty, and inhumanity? What is the connection with culture? The whole country is against this. The team of this movie also paid more than 5,000 netizens and spent 200 million Korean won to play a sentence in the New York Times Square. The real name of Battleship Island is Hashima Island. I always believe that filmmakers should have their own attitude. This year, the director Gwaku's documentary 22 is the most sincere movie I think. We will not compromise and we will not forget. Thank you for watching this episode. See you next time.